Can you tell me what are the advantages of laying out the agenda like this?
Apart from the actual topics, you can see who owns them. Without that, these topics, as Tom said earlier, everyone gets involved. It's going to make things much clearer when we see the topic, and then we know what we need to achieve to get the desired outcome.
Very good. That's really important. What else?
Yeah, I think putting a time on things is a very good idea, because if you have a time on things, then you know your guidelines and you know how much time it's going to take. Do you know, sometimes at the beginning of a meeting, something takes an inordinate amount of time because you feel you have all the time in the world and you're fresh and energetic and you're able to do that. So yeah, putting a restriction on time I think is essential, and it might only take 5 or 10 minutes then.
Yeah, I think that's great. And then you could check also, I suppose, at the beginning of the meeting how long the whole meeting is going to last based on those times, and decide if more or less time is required.
Yes, that's very important, because now how often have we seen people either leave meetings before they're actually finished because they have to probably go to another meeting, or everything gets squeezed into the last 15 minutes, and very important decisions get taken under far too much pressure. As someone said, meetings run over time. People get tired and anxiety increases because of other things that are suffering as a result.
So what do we do if it actually exceeds the time like that we've estimated, if it runs over the time?
Well, you can make a decision with the group to either extend the meeting by agreement, or you can again with the group see if there are some items that can wait, that can be dealt with in another meeting at another time. Is that okay?
Yes, that makes sense.
And this heading of what kind of topic is it is also very important, because in fact it tells or educates us, or educates the group about how they need to perform and behave on that topic. For example, if Tom says he wants to give information on sales, then everybody else knows that this is what he is doing. And all they need to do then is to listen and understand.
And what if Tom has shared some information that is problematic and does need to be discussed?
Well, then either the leader facilitator leads a short discussion on it, or it gets added on to the agenda with a description of problem solving over it and a time allocated to it. This might seem a bit extreme, but it's important. It's important because otherwise everything becomes a discussion item, an argument. And once again, we lose all control, and one word leads to another, and we lose all shape on the meeting. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great.
Another reason why it gets added on at the bottom is that sometimes items that do need more discussion and problem solving should not be discussed at this meeting, because it's not the right time or the right environment, or it may not even be the right group or people. And so a separate occasion and time are set and agreed to discuss the topic. As was seen earlier, so often we see discussions between 2 or 3 people, with the rest of the group acting as spectators on the sidelines, and people who should be involved not present at all at the meeting.
I think that's actually really important. I see that happening all the time. Discussions going on that only really involve a few of the people, and the whole thing not being handled really well.
Yes, as we said before, every meeting should be a creative meeting, every meeting. And therefore, we should be looking for improvement topics that need the team's attention at every meeting. In that sense, it can throw up topics or challenges. It becomes a kind of a sorting office for issues that may need to get dealt with outside the actual meeting. Is that all okay and clear?
Very clear.
And are there minutes kept by somebody, and will they be circulated?
Great question. Great question. No minutes. No minutes. At the end of each topic discussed, the leader facilitator notes publicly what is the action agreed to be done, who will do it, and when will it be done. And an action list. That's the action list. In that way, action begins immediately and doesn't have to wait for minutes to be circulated and mixed up with all kinds of other things that come into our emails, etc., and possibly lost. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And do you see this as something practical that you can use and that would actually work?
Yeah, definitely.
And you, David?
It's pretty clear to me too. There are several things I particularly like. I really like the idea of every item having a place on the agenda beforehand. You guys know how much time we waste talking about trivial stuff all of the time, you know.
Yeah. Like car parking and office space. Minor issues.
Yeah. The other thing I particularly like, we talk about car parking, but the other thing I particularly like is that we use this meeting as a way of finding out what I'm trying to, generating topics that might require more time, you know, and better attention rather than trying to resolve them there and then through discussion and wasting even more time. I think this is particularly important in the light, Brian, of our earlier conversations around making every meeting meaningful.
Well said. Good.